So hello everyone. In our previous classes, we have seen that what is the difference between a gas turbine engine and a reciprocating engine. The major difference or the basic difference between gas turbine engine and reciprocating engine is the components. Okay, here in reciprocating engine we have piston, which actually reciprocates or which performs a stroke, which reciprocates or between the top dead center and bottom dead center of the combustion chamber or a cylinder. But here in gas turbine engine we have seen that everything, actually we have, instead of reciprocating components, we have rotating components. Okay, the machines are there, turbo machines are there, compressor will rotate, and the turbine is also going to rotate. Then another difference between both of two, we have seen that we have to have 4 different strokes here to perform different functions. Number of components are required in case of reciprocating engine. Compared to the gas turbine engine, we simply everything is mounted in a single assembly. So in single go, the air is compressed, combusted, and then expanded, and then it is exhausted with a high speed jet. So that is the major difference between the reciprocating engine and the gas turbine engine. These are the two major differences. Plus, because we are flying in the air, there is abundance of air into the atmosphere, so the fuel required is only for the combustion process to provide energy. The working medium of the system is actually gas. Then coming back to the basic simple working of a gas turbine system or gas turbine energy system, is we have 3 major components here. We have number 1, compressor, a combustion chamber, and turbine. And like we have seen that the air actually enters at atmospheric pressure into the compressor. The role of a compressor is to compress the air by squeezing the amount of air which is present in the compressor every instant of time to a high pressure. So here we will have the exit air, the air which is exiting the compressor should be at high pressure, will be at high pressure compared to the inlet pressure. Okay, so this ratio, when we draw a ratio of P to exit pressure and inlet pressure, we define it as a pressure ratio. So generally the stage pressure ratio has to be 1:10 probably in a compressor. So a compressor has to increase the pressure. Okay, number 1. Then when this exit pressure, exit air from the compressor enters into the combustion chamber, then a fuel is added, a high calorific value fuel is entered into the combustion chamber, and then we have to have a mechanism to burn or to initiate the combustion process inside it. In gas turbine engine, we start the combustion process and then we try to maintain the combustion. Okay, so we have to burn it once and then it will continue to burn. Okay, and we have to keep injecting the fuel. That is how it works in gas turbine engine. But then at very high speed in these engines, it is very difficult to make the combustion going, to keep the combustion going. We'll see this in coming classes. Okay, so here we are adding a high calorific value fuel. That means a fuel which has a high energy ratio. That means a small amount of a fuel is going to produce a large amount of energy. That's a high calorific value. Okay, so this fuel is actually entered into combustion chamber to increase the temperature. So using these two components, compressor and combustion chamber, first we have increased the pressure and then we have increased the temperature. The high pressure and high temperature gases are required to produce large amount of energy, and this high pressure and high temperature gas, it is then entered into the turbine in order to perform the mechanical work, to produce a useful work from the turbine, and the remaining air is exhausted with a high speed jet in the form of a high speed jet, so as to use Newton's third law of motion principle. Now the working of this simple gas turbine engine is actually presented here. This cycle is known as Brayton cycle. Okay, this process which we have discussed here, inlet of air, then compression at adiabatic compression it is called, and then we have here constant pressure combustion, and then again adiabatic expansion. So these are the three processes which we are using this in gas cycle, which on which this particular system works. This cycle is known as Breton cycle. Breton cycle is basically an open gas cycle. It's not a closed system. It's an open system because air enters from the input and then the working fluid actually exits and back into the atmosphere. So we have abundance of working fluid, working medium, which is passing through the here through the system, which is air. So here this working can also be understood by means of a pressure volume curve or pressure volume graph. Here we can see that this is point number 1, the intake from where the air enters into the compressor, and adiabatic compression actually takes place. So first step is adiabatic compression, and then after reaching the combustion chamber, we can see here the pressure is maintained constant from point 2 to point 3, and at this constant pressure which is also known as constant pressure, we are doing the combustion process. So here the fuel is added into the working fluid at constant pressure, and then the temperature is increased of that particular air, and after this we have adiabatic expansion, which is a step number 3. The expansion process actually rotates the blades of a turbine, and it also produces a high speed exhaust. But then this fourth number part is a part of a closed cycle. Okay, when we are talking about a closed gas cycle, Breton cycle, we'll talk about this fourth step, where the working fluid is limited if we are using some different kind of a gas, let's say helium, or let's say hydrogen. Hydrogen is actually used as a fuel. So another gas if we use, so then we have to repeat the process because the amount of gas is limited to us. Here air is present in abundance, so we try to make use of air, and then we take the air from the surrounding, and we exit the air into the surrounding or into the atmosphere. Okay, that's called an open system, where the working fluid is not repeated again and again. So here the inlet and exhaust will play a very important role. Now from this curve, the efficiency of compression process is decided by this equation, where gamma is the adiabatic index, and like we have talked about pressure ratio, which is exit pressure by inlet pressure. Okay, so here the pressure ratio in a compressor has to be very high, sufficient enough to produce the designed pressure. Okay, we are able to maintain certain RPM with the turbine, fixed RPM with the turbine, in order to rotate a compressor as well. So here you can see that the efficiency of a compression process is decided by this pressure ratio. Okay, let's say if the pressure ratio equals to 1, then the efficiency will become 0. The numerator increases, the entire term decreases. So we want to decrease this entire second term, which is present in minus sign. Okay, so the efficiency will become equal to nothing but 1 minus this whole entire term. We want to reduce it to as minimum as possible. In order to do that, we have to have a very high pressure ratio. So one of the most important criteria of using gas turbine engine in aircraft power plant is that it has to have a very high pressure ratio. Okay, so the entire working cycle the entire gas system actually works on open cycle, Breton cycle. Then coming to the growth of the aircraft power plant, over the years the aircraft has improved a lot. Nowadays we are facing challenge of speed. People are trying to get faster and faster to develop. Countries are trying to develop faster airplanes, faster missiles, faster rockets. Okay, so when we talk about aircraft power plant, 1918, during the First World War. So from the First World War, the growth of the aeroplane industry has taken a very strong leap actually, and from the basic piston powered propeller engine, we have grown to a supersonic combustion ramjet engine, scramjet engines. Okay, so here we will be talking about some of the three preliminary stages which we have seen, widely used, not preliminary. So preliminary is basically this one, which has developed during the First World War. Then from the engine, the attention was focused on design of an aeroplane to reach to faster speed and greater heights. So here first one is a turbojet engine, like we know, a jet engine which is widely used. A turbine will be there, and turbine is used to generate the useful work, and jet engine because it has to generate a high speed jet in order to produce a useful thrust and make the aeroplane move at a very high speed. And then other than that, we have developed something called turbofan engines. So turbofan engines are widely used in commercial aeroplanes, where we have passengers moving from the one position to another position, aeroplanes that are taking the passengers from one country to another country. So as the name suggests, it has two main components. In addition, a turbofan engine, that doesn't mean it won't produce a jet. It will be producing a jet, but then there is an additional component to that particular arrangement, which is a fan. A fan is placed in front of an inlet, we will see. And then coming to turboprop engine, one of the most preliminary designs here, the piston engines were used to rotate the propeller, and this propeller was used to generate the thrust over the wings, or make the air flow over the wings. Okay, and then coming to modern aircraft engine, which is supersonic jets, we have a ramjet engine having a different mechanism and a lack of or less number of rotating part. We don't have a compressor in it, we don't have a turbine in it, because these aeroplanes are actually greater than Mach number 1. At such a high speed, it becomes very difficult to use the rotating components. Either the rotating components will get damaged, or it will not allow the aeroplane to move at a faster pace. So these are the two main challenges. Other than that, there is many challenges which we are actually working on it. With time, we are actually developing solutions from that. Then there is a scramjet engine. Very sorry for this spelling mistake. So we do have an engine here, scramjet engine, supersonic combustion ramjet. That means here the combustion process is actually taking at a very high speed. Supersonic combustion means basically the combustion process is happening at a speed faster than the speed of sound. Let's say if Mach number is equals to 2, that means the aeroplane is actually flying at a speed of 2 times faster than the speed of sound, which is close to 700. So when we talk about 700 meters per second, okay, the combustion process has to be that fast. That means the moment air enters into the combustion chamber, quickly within fraction of second, combustion process has to take off. Okay, so that is important thing here. The combustion process has to be very efficient and very fast. Then let's say we talk about engine performance. So how do we check which kind of turbine engine we have to use for different purposes? For example, let's say, like I told you, basically a turbofan engines are used for commercial aircraft, which generally flies at a high altitude, maybe above the clouds. Okay, and then the engine has to be silent, and so these are certain criteria to be fuel efficient. So these are the certain criteria which makes turbofan as most possible, most useful for the commercial aeroplanes. Okay, the fuels are actually very costly, so fuel consumption has to be very less. Fuel consumption has to be very less. Then the engine has to be less noisy. Plus, then it has to have the it has to fly at high altitudes, which is again another important criteria. And here the speed is actually compromised. We can have aeroplanes which are generally flying less than the speed of 1, which is subsonic. So subsonic aeroplanes. So 3 important criteria on which we can judge, or we can choose the use of a jet engine in an aircraft is: number 1 is fuel consumption, which has to deal with the thermal efficiency. Like I told you, fuel has to have a high calorific value. The fuel has to be high calorific value. That means even a single gram of fuel, if it is burned, should be able to produce large amount of a thrust. So, and how much? Because if an aeroplane is flying less fuel, less energy out of a fuel, then we have to supply large amount of a fuel, which will increase the weight of the aircraft. Definitely the altitude and the speed is going to suffer. So how this calorific value is getting converted into thermal energy, that is the process of combustion. So thermal efficiency plays a very important role when we try to talk about use of an aircraft power plant. Then coming to energy conversion, that means efficiency of component. Okay, there are total 6 components which we generally find inside a gas turbine engine, starting from inlet, compressor, combustion chamber, turbine, and then we also have an exhaust. All these components has to act efficiently. We are aiming to 90 to 95% efficiency of this engine. If the engine is not efficient enough, the first problem we will face is with the cost. Okay, the fuel will get consumed a lot, and fuels are jet fuels. The fuels that we use in aircraft are jet fuels. Okay, these jet fuels cost up to I think 1050 at present per kiloliter. Okay, so 1 kiloliter of fuel is this here. And then when we talk about an aircraft power plant, tons and tons of fuel has to be burned when we move from one place to another place. Recently there was a blast in Ahmedabad because the plane crashed. Okay, the problem has not been identified. Dreamliner Airbus, yeah. So that is again a problem, fuel consumption. Coming to the third, and when the crash has taken place, if you could check the video, you will see a big blast was there at the spot because lot of fuel was there. Plane has to move from Ahmedabad direct flight to London. So there has to be a storage of large amount of fuel. Again, that was the reason for the blast, big blast actually. And then third important criteria here we have checked is when we look at the speed, we have to compromise somewhere at the fuel, we have to compromise somewhere at the performance. Okay, because performance, because we are aiming to reach to high speeds, or when we are trying to reach to high speeds, we have to suffer with the altitude. Okay. So there is a different thing when we talk about a rocket engine, because a rocket engine is completely different from the aircraft which is running inside the atmosphere. So we have to take care of the altitude also. Otherwise, because when we reach to high altitude, the mass flow rate of the air, atmospheric air decreases, and so that will create a problem with the amount of air required in order to reach to a certain speed or reach to a certain pressure. Fine. So these are 3 most important criteria: fuel consumption or thermal efficiency, energy conversion, which is component efficiency, which will also decide the power plant efficiency, whether the given power plant is efficient or not. Speed and altitude are another important parameter. Okay, thermal efficiency has to also deal with the thrust and thrust specific fuel consumption. Fine. Then coming to the first engine that we are trying to talk here is a turbojet engine.